Ooh, look at these tall buildings! Today I am taking you on a trip with me to New York for the Bindery Books launch. Now, as a lot of you know, last year I joined up with Bindery Books to create my very own imprint, which is Easy Cat Press. And that has all culminated in this moment where we are launching 4 books all at the same time in New York. So this all took place on October 15th at the McNally Jackson bookstore. So kind of the concept behind Bindery is that they wanted to take content creators like myself and Zoran and Kevin and Catherine and essentially let us choose the books that were going to be published. So we have our own imprints and we got to choose, we got to go through manuscripts and we got to choose a book that we wanted to publish. And then going forward, we'll get to publish even more books. But this is the release of our very first one. When we got there, we found out that our books and us had been featured on the cover of Publishers Weekly, which was wild. I still have not quite processed it, to be honest. To be honest, everything about this launch party was a little surreal because everything we'd done up until this point had been done online. We had not, I met my author, Kay Sinclair, the author of House of Frank, for the first time at this launch party. And a lot of us were meeting for the first time. And we'd all been working together for, over a year at this point. So there was a lot of emotions. A lot of people were feeling a lot of things, myself included. But this was such a special opportunity to celebrate these books and these authors and everything that has led up to this point. There was definitely a sense of joy, too. I mean, you have to imagine that a lot of us met online, 4 years ago during the pandemic when we started creating content. So getting to come together and celebrate this moment of publishing books together, it's really cool. And to meet everyone's family and to just see everybody and give lots of hugs, it was just a really, really special moment. You can see tons of smiles. You probably see content creators that you recognize in the crowd. And it just was really, really magical. But now it's time for some speeches, so I'm going to shut up for a second.
All right. Can you all hear us? I am so overwhelmed to be here. I'm Matt Kay, co-founder of Bindery. This is Meg Harvey. Other co-founder of Bindery. And there are people here who have known us like our entire careers, and there are people who have supported us from day one when Bindery was just an idea. And there are people that made this moment possible, and so thank you all for coming. Real quick, where's the Bindery team? Can you all raise your hands? Where are they? It's all possible. And where are the Bindery tastemakers? All of them. Everybody is a tastemaker. If you feel like being charmed tonight, introduce yourself to them. They are the loveliest. But above all else, we're here to celebrate the debut authors of Bindery's fall list. We have Kay, we have Susan, we have Sewell, and we have Tiffany. Please give it up for them. And we also have Jason, Kevin, Zoran, and Catherine. And so I want to say a few words about how we got here and what Bindery is, and then they're each going to be able to have a few minutes to talk about their journey here, and then we're going to get books. You get to have all 4 of the fall books, get them signed, cut cake. It's going to be beautiful. So I was thinking about where to start, and we're all here because we have a shared love of books. So I've been obsessed with books ever since I was a little kid. They are in some of my first memories. Those were my first memories. I was obsessed with the object and being in spaces like this. I had a local Walden Books in the mall next to me that I used to be obsessed with. And I loved the feeling of rushing to an ending, and it was one of those words in that order that could make sense of everything that came before it. I kind of been chasing that feeling my whole life. I still get goosebumps at the end of a book I love. But books were never solitary for me. My mom was a middle school English teacher, and she loved that I took a shine to books. I might have been her favorite, don't tell me. But she would do this thing when I was a kid that she called reading parties, where we would just read different books together in the same place, and they are some of the warmest, most loving memories of my childhood. And so books for me and the love of books was always something to be shared. It kind of brought people together. Books are social. I think we all just feel that. Publishing is social. It's the connection between writers and editors and agents and marketers and reviewers and booksellers and influencers that get beautiful books into the hands of readers who will love them. Publishing runs on enthusiasm for story. Meg and I have each been in the industry for 20 years each. And in like traditional publishing and packagers and Amazon Books and startups, and we've just seen how much harder things have gotten as media is consolidated and disintegrated, how much harder it is for authors, how much harder it is for publishers to reach readers, how much of the onus of reaching readers has been put onto authors. And so it's all been like doom and gloom and pessimism in my entire career in the book world. And so it's one of the more kind of like unexpected and surprising things to see on platforms that have partly caused that and driven all this division and distraction. People like Catherine and Jason and Kevin and Zoran and all the people in this room build these massive communities of people around a shared love for books. It's been the honor of my life to kind of see all of this come together in such a beautiful way. And, they've inspired an entire new generation of readers, breathed new life into an industry that just desperately needed it. And so Bindery is meant to be this never-before-seen partnership between the people that are creating all this enthusiasm in the world and the writers whose stories deserve to get told. Our approach is meant to ensure that every writer, every book gets the attention it deserves. And in this model, we're able to... Wait, one second.
Bring it on.
I know, I'm doing it.
The Bindery.
You're killing it!
Yes.
You're my favorite book speaker!
Yeah, so our approach is designed to give every writer the support they deserve, and we envision a world of books chosen by people in direct dialogue with readers, serving a greater diversity of story. Writers get to write, tastemakers promote. That's the idea. And so we're here to celebrate more than anything else Bindery's first 4 authors and books in this new approach. Our tastemakers fell head over heels for your books, and when we got our hands on them, we did too. Your books are beyond special. It's been, the honor of my life to see your books take shape, to see the genuine relationships, which I did not expect, emerge between all of the authors and their tastemakers, authors in these reading communities. To see all this incredible acclaim and hype and love culminating in this night, the celebration that you all so deserve. So I feel that sort of goosebumps feeling, but this time not for an ending, but for a beginning. This feeling that it could only have been... It's true, I do. I'm like overwhelmed with it. This feeling that could only have been these people in this moment, this incredible community that's come together here to build a more diverse, equitable, and independent world of books. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, McNally Jackson. Thank you, Mom. And now I'll hand it over to our heroes of the night.
I'm gonna put my emotional support death dog on the ground. All right, welcome everybody. My name is Catherine Budig. I am the founder of the Inky Phoenix Book Club, and through the amazing shepherding and vision of Meg Harvey and Matt Hay, I am now the acquiring editor of Inky Phoenix Press. Our picks and our acquisitions are upmarket speculative fiction that amplifies queer voices, and it focuses on mythology and magic that is grounded in reality or historical fiction, which why, almost 1 year ago, I found myself pruning in my bathtub, glued to this manuscript called Strange Beasts by Susan J. Morris. And I knew immediately that I had found the perfect debut. Susan blended the worlds of Dracula and Sherlock Holmes, and she managed to take something and make it so familiar and yet uniquely her own. And it is filled with beautiful prose and propulsive storytelling and just darkness that makes your toes curl, and 2 queer heroines that are going to leave you hungry for so much more. But when you take the worlds that Susan has created and you add the magic of Charlotte Strick, where are you, Charlotte, our artistic director, and the marketing prowess of CJ Albers, and I see you back there, Zach Jordan, our engineer god. Plus all of the Inky Phoenix members, many of which you are here tonight, their undying love for this book. That's why I'm standing here ushering our wee beastie into the world. But I especially want to thank Susan for challenging my dyslexia and pushing me into the world of Sherlock Holmes, where I had to learn how to pronounce Moriarty. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce you to your favorite author's new favorite author, Susan J.
All right, so I'm a writer, not a speaker, so I have this to read. So I have to tell you that when Inky Phoenix and Bindery first signed me, they asked me for a list of my author dreams. And of course, the temptation was to be easy, to not ask for too much, because you don't want to be a difficult author. But I put it all down, like even the moon. And what's wild is that Bindery has done all of my dreams and then some. And with the utmost transparency, involving me in every decision. Strange Beasts is truly the book of my heart, and I can't tell you how seen I felt when Catherine actually got what I was trying to do just immediately. She's given the absolute most to make this book the very best it can be, backing me up every step of the way. And at this point, I'm just entirely overwhelmed and grateful to be a part of this amazing adventure, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Zoran Host. I'm one of the tastemakers at Bindery. Obviously, you probably gathered that. So the book I published today is And the Sky Blood by S. Hati. My imprint is called Fantasy and Friends, and fantasy first. Obviously, our goal is to publish fantasy books of all kinds for new and seasoned fantasy readers. But the second word is more important to me, and that's friends. Because at the core of our imprint, it is community. And for the past almost 4 years of creating content online for readers around the world, it is to build that community from the ground up and make friends and inspire friendship. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that. Otherwise, I feel like I've done a great job. A fun fact is I like to say that I'm the second person that emailed Matt back when he had the idea for Bindery. That's pretty cool. At that time, it was just an idea. And I said, yeah, keep me in the loop. I want to see where this goes. And I had no idea that this is where we would be today. So I'll take myself back to October of last year when I was reviewing manuscripts for the first book to publish, which felt so surreal even to think of as a concept, where I received over like 50 manuscript submissions. And a fun fact that I like to share is that the first manuscript I ever received was And the Sky Blood. And I had no idea at the time that that was going to be my book. I literally didn't, because I kept reading, but I kept coming back to this book. It was a dark, gritty, bloody fantasy in a world that was on the brink of destruction, but at its hope, it was a story about love and community, and that's what I hope to inspire in the community that I could build online to this day. And I am just so grateful to have found a partner in Soul and a friendship, because sometimes there's this weird experience where you meet the right person at the right time, and you create a relationship with that person, and you feel like it's fate. And that's what I feel like I found in Soul. I'm so happy that And the Sky Blood is in the hands of readers today, because I don't think I could have taken the stress anymore. And I'm just so happy to introduce the author of And the Sky Blood to you. This is Soul.
I wrote a speech out, but Zoran was not supposed to make me cry. I feel like I've been walking around all evening telling everyone how nervous I am for this speech. But honestly, I think I'm just still kind of processing this evening. It's so beyond, I think, all of our wildest dreams. I remember when I first got the offer, Matt and Meg, very similar to Susan, they asked me, what does success look like to you? And I had said, I just want this book to find the right reader. Because the truth is, I wrote this for a very specific audience at kind of a difficult time in my life. And it's just been so amazing to watch Zoran, who is so amazing at what she does, build a community around a book that I had, quite frankly, completely given up on finding a place on the shelves. And I definitely didn't expect to walk away from this experience with someone who I think I would consider a friend for life. It's just been the most special, amazing experience of my life, and I'm so thankful to everyone who's come out. And to my other fellow Bindery authors, I couldn't have asked to do this with anyone else. You're all amazing. The books are awesome. Highly recommend. Thank you all.
I mean, I don't want to give a speech with wine in my hand. Nothing against wine. I love wine. I actually wrote something down because I didn't want to mess up, and I wanted to do my author, Tiffany, justice. She's amazing. I love her. It's truly an honor to be standing here today to announce the publication of not only Inferno's Air, but the entire Bindery collection. When I first started Violeteer Books, which is my imprint, if you didn't know, there were more than a few voices who kind of doubted what we could do here at Bindery. I've seen some videos and I wanted to fight. And Matt told me, shut your mouth. And I did, which was hard.
You're so great.
You know who you are. But here we are today, and it's moments like this that remind me why we keep going and what we can accomplish when we believe in ourselves. Inferno's Air was, much like Zoran, the first manuscript that I read. It actually wasn't submitted to me, it was submitted to her. And listen, I was like, I'm gonna look at everyone's manuscript pile because I knew I wanted to find that diamond in the rough. And I did. And I said, Zoran, can I please have this? And she said, yeah, I found And the Sky Bled, which was my second choice, just so you know. But I'm happy with my first. There was something about Taya, our main character in Inferno's Air, that really resonated with me. She was so cunning, so intelligent, and so unapologetically complex. And she wasn't perfect, but that's why I loved her. And growing up, I always felt like an outsider for being queer, and it was powerful women in stories, those wielding magic and standing strong, that really, really made me feel seen. So today, I am incredibly proud not to just introduce this book, but to introduce Tiffany, whose voice and vision are going to leave a mark on this world. Tiffany has created a story that not just is filled with magic and power, it's filled with characters who feel so real, they practically leap off the page. Her writing draws you in, and it really does not let go. Violeteer Books, my imprint, is about championing diverse voices and stories, and I couldn't be more proud to have Tiffany as my very first author. Thank you for trusting me with your story. I'm so thankful for the entire Bindery team. I was the first one Matt spoke to, actually. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was spam. You guys have been so supportive of all of our visions, and I want to thank you for believing in us, even when I failed to believe in myself. I can't wait for you all to read Inferno's Air, but most importantly, I can't wait for you all to meet the amazingly kind, talented, and beautiful Tiffany Wong.
Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany and I am the author of Inferno's Air. When I first started writing my story, the only thing I had was my main character, Taya Carthen.
My favorite.
And I knew right away what kind of person she was going to be. She was going to be devious and ruthless and morally unsound, all the best qualities I like in my protagonist.
Me too.
Like Kevin. But the more I wrote, the more I understood her story. She was a scorned royal, but not just a scorned royal, a princess who infiltrates the rebellion in order to betray them. I finished the draft. I signed with my incredible, amazing agent, Kelly Van Sant, without whom none of this would have been possible. And afterwards, we went out to different publishing houses and editors. And I remember thinking, I hope this is a quick submission process. Well, publishing has a way of humbling all of us. But now, looking back, despite the long road, this is exactly where Inferno's Air and Taya were supposed to be. I am so grateful to the Bindery team. They have been incredible and so kind to work with. And Kevin, getting to know Kevin, getting to know screaming about plot points with you, having meltdowns over text with you. I just feel so lucky to have found the one person who loves Taya as much as I do. And it genuinely just means so much because when you took a chance on Taya, you took a chance on me. So, sorry. So, to all the people who are here, to the Bindery team, to Kevin, to my fellow authors, to everyone who came out to support us, to my friends who have become like my family in New York, and to my partner Andrew who keeps me sane in my worst moments. Thank you so much, and here's to more stories to come.
Hi, friends. My name is Jason Headley. I am the founding creator of EasyCat Press. I'm EasyCat on the internet. I was not the first person to answer. I distinctly remember looking at it and thinking, this is way too good to be true. And it wasn't until Kevin emailed me and was like, hey, girl, you gotta get back to me. I have a really cool idea. All right, fine. House of Frank was not the first book that I read. I read a lot of submissions. It took me a really long time to find House of Frank because we had gotten a lot of agented submissions, and then we did our pitch fest, and we got a lot of pitches, and I kept reading and reading and reading. I just couldn't find, because in the beginning, I really wanted EasyCat Press to be about cozy fantasy. And now I've come to realize that EasyCat Press is going to publish all sorts of wild stories, but the through line will always be that it is about found families. And as a queer person, that has become incredibly important to me. And so far, all three of the books I've acquired are also super gay. So that's yeah, that's how I feel about it too. I remember the night that I read House of Frank, though. So I read the query letter, and before I even opened the document, I sent it to Kevin and Zoran, and I said, oh, I think I found it. And they're like, did you read it? And I was like, no. But this, I think I found it. Yeah. So I did what any normal person that's chronically online does. I stalked Kevin before I read the book. And I found, I'm sure you meant this only for yourself, but I found that you had created a Spotify playlist for the book, which you probably created to write the book and have it in the background when you're playing, not thinking anybody would find it. But I found it. And I put it on, and I listened to it as I read House of Frank cover to cover in a single night. And by the time to be fair, 20% in I was already sobbing. And I continued to sob until the end of the book. And it's just such a heartwarming, beautiful, cozy story about a witch who is trying to find an answer after going through so much grief and loss. And I always say, because we don't often find grief in cozy fantasy, so I always say that cozy fantasy are stories that feel like warm hugs. House of Frank is a story that feels like a warm hug on your worst day. So I am, and by the way, the second I finished reading it, I emailed Matt and Meg at like 1 a.m, and I was like, this is it, we found it. I am so incredibly grateful to the Bindery team, to all of the authors, to all of the other tastemakers for going on this journey with us. It has been incredible. It has been an insane year. Judging by the amount of books we're publishing next year, it's going to be even more insane next year, but let's not talk about that yet. But I am most grateful to Kay for writing this incredible story that I have just fallen head over heels for. Every time I make a video about this book, I cry because that's how much I love it and that's how much I love these characters. So I am incredibly excited to introduce you to the author of House of Frank, Kay Sinclair.
Just so you know, that playlist, House of Frank now has like 20 saves since he... So I'm like, who are you people? Oh, thank you so much, Jason. Like everyone else, I am a writer first and not a speaker, so I have to write everything now. So please excuse me. When I was younger, I taught myself how to sew clothing. I had a few missteps, shoddy craftsmanship, but over time I began to get the hang of it. When it was time for me to go to school for sewing, I remember complaining to my mom about how I'll have to learn this all over again. I already knew how to sew, I already knew how to construct a garment. I could do all of it on my own. And I remember standing in the fabric store complaining to my mom as I gathered my supplies for the school year. And she looked at me and said, Kanan, in order to be good at something, it will take the time it will need to take. Also, your sewing instructor, and she was an old friend of my mom's, she knows a whole lot more than you. And you can imagine how shocked I was as a 15-year-old when I learned that the 60-year-old sewing instructor did in fact know a whole lot more than me. But I realized something that day, standing in the fabric store, taking in the words that my mom had said. To be good at something, it will take the time it will need to take. Writing a book, as we all know, is really hard, and for a long time, I wanted to get all the words written, send it out to agents, and then boom, become a published author. But I'm 30 years old, and I've been writing for most of my life, and it took years to get to this point, and I'm so glad that those years shaped me into the writer that I am today. Because to be here today, it took the time that it needed to take. And then the second half of my mother's advice. There is someone who knows more than you. Listen to them, learn from them, and lean on them. Essentially relying on community. And how fitting is it that my debut novel is being represented by a publisher powered by community. I'm a firm believer that nothing of true value is created alone. I'm grateful, God, I'm so grateful for this community of book lovers and professionals and Bindery subscribers and friends and family who have helped bring House of Frank into the world. Because I lean on y'all and I appreciate all of y'all. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you.
I'm overwhelmed with emotion. So I hope you all enjoyed that. This has been, exceeded all my expectations. There are over there all of the new Bindery books. In gift bags. Don't stampede, you can go slowly, but there will be signings in these 4 corners. There, and then 2 down there. So get your book signed. There's a library card. Get it stamped by the tastemaker. And at 8 o'clock, we're going to cut some cake and just celebrate and party. Thank you all so much for being here.
Congratulations. Thank you. Hi, I'm Carl, by the way. I'm Jason's husband. Right?
So after all the speeches and after I finally introduced Kay to my husband, it was time for signing. So each of the authors was given their own little space where we were able to have them sign books, and each content creator was given a stamp, and we had our imprint's logo on the stamp so we could stamp the books, and that was really cool. And it was great because it meant that we got to have a little bit of a moment with everyone that was checking out the books, but also we weren't overstepping or signing the books or anything crazy like that, because that was all for the author and really celebrating them and the fact that they published their first books, which is just so amazing.
That's concerning.
For me, this moment was really special because a lot of people who came to our table to get their books signed and to meet Kay are people that are, friends of hers, friends of mine, family, but also people that just enjoy the content that we make and were excited to read the book and knew me from the videos that I do online. And so getting to connect with people in that way was really special. Of course, no party is complete without some cake, and there was a cake for each of the 4 books being released that night, which was very fun, and they were all different flavors.
Cutting the cakes. The Strange Beast cake is gluten-free and vegan, so just as everybody's aware. Please come, gather around, take pictures, they're beautiful.
Okay, so here we have all 4 of the authors being celebrated that night, and I really just want to take a moment to acknowledge all of them. We have Tiffany Wang, who wrote Inferno's Heir. We have Susan J. Morris, who wrote Strange Beasts. Kay Sinclair, who wrote House of Frank. And of course, S. Hati, who wrote And the Sky Bled.
All right, hell yeah!
cutting and eating was absolute chaos, as you can tell. Just absolute madness. But all of the cakes were delicious, so at least there was that. Oh, and also, somebody had the wild idea to have the authors feed a piece of cake to the content creators they worked with, which was, listen, at this point, everybody had been drinking some wine, okay? So things got a little, wild, all right? I don't know what to tell you.
The House of Frank cake is only for 3 people because that's how big.
All in all, the night was amazing, but the party did not stop there. Well, I mean, this party ended there, of course, because all good things must come to an end. But then we went to the next day, at which point we got to go to various different bookstores in New York City and have all of the authors sign their books, which was very cool. So there's me with Kevin. It was very early. We were very tired. So this was Barnes & Noble, 5th Avenue. This was our first stop. You can see all of our faces there from the Publishers Weekly cover, which is crazy. All of our books on a table, which is just madness. And of course we put our authors to work, right? Because they need to sign, so we had them all sit down and get started. It just was really so special to see them get to sign their books in this way. And I don't know, every time I saw one of them sign a book, I got really excited because going with these books on this journey through this whole process has just been so incredible. And we also had a bus that was taking us from each of these bookstores, like from one to another. So that was really fun. It was like a party bus, kind of. So next up, we went to Shakespeare & Co., which is here. I'll be totally honest, this bookstore did not have very many copies of our books. I think there was some sort of situation with the copies getting locked in the basement or something. I don't quite understand, but we did manage to find one copy of House of Frank. So then we went off to Book Culture. This bookstore was so cool, and the staff was just so incredibly friendly and so kind. And the bookstore was 2 stories. I love me a 2-story bookstore. I don't know about you, but the more stories of books, the better. This bookstore, I don't know, this just felt like uniquely New York to me. Like it was just like such a fun little store. So we headed upstairs, and that was where all of the copies of our books were, which, you know, gave our authors a chance to once again sign books. We weren't like doing signings in the way that you have people come and like stand in line. Basically, the authors were signing the books, and now these stores have signed copies for anyone who comes in to purchase them, which is really cool. And, you know, it was just fun to be able to visit all these stores. So next up, we went to You and Me Books. This was a smaller bookstore, but it was super cute, and I really loved the attention to diversity in this bookstore. There was just so many diverse authors and diverse reads. We met up with some friends from the night before here as well. It was just so good to see all of them, too. The more time I get to spend with these people, the better, to be honest. Like, I never want to ever say goodbye to them. I wish we all lived in the same city so we could hang out every single day. That would be my preference, personally. So next we went to Books Are Magic. I love this bookstore. This is my second time being here. They have this really amazing mural outside that you can take pictures in front of, and of course we did. I also just love they have so many staff picks. They have a huge children's and middle grade section as well, which I don't think I got any video of, but it's fantastic. Highly recommend. And finally, we went to Greenlight Bookstore. This was our last stop of the day, and this was probably my least favorite bookstore, and not because it was a bad bookstore, but because we finally had to say goodbye to everyone, which made me so sad. But I'm so excited that this book is out in the world, and I hope you get a chance to read it. And thank you so much for coming on this journey with me.